update. Brianna?
So what does Congress have to say about all of this? CNN's Mani Raju is on the Hill. Mani, what are lawmakers saying? Are they getting the answers that they want from the Trump administration?
Well, remember, most members of Congress have had zero briefings about exactly what happened over the weekend or about the administration's plans or long-term plans when it comes to Venezuela. There was a briefing last night in the aftermath of the attack on Saturday. That briefing was relegated to the topmost leaders in Congress, as well as some of the key members on those committees. But the Democrats emerged from that closed-door classified briefing unsatisfied. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Democratic leader, said that he did not get answers about how long this would take, how much it would cost, whether there'd be boots on the ground. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, told me last night that he does not expect American boots on the ground. He also defended the effort. So the response has been along party lines, but there's been still a lot of questions about where exactly this will go. Now, tomorrow, we expect this to be a very fiery hearing, given there'll be many more members involved in this, including Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, who sits on the Senate Armed Services Committee and has been feuding with the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, over Hegseth's effort to try to demote him from his military rank, given a previous video that he posted calling on military officers not to follow illegal orders. But Kelly says that may come up at tomorrow's hearing, and he also is pushing back at the notion this was a law enforcement operation on Saturday, as the administration contends it did in serving Maduro an arrest warrant.
They talk about how this is a law enforcement operation, but if in fact 150 airplanes were used from, multiple services, it feels, less to me law enforcement and more like a military operation. Let me make it perfectly clear. This letter or anything that Pete Hegseth says or does to me is in no way going to affect the way I do my job and represent my constituents in the United States Senate. Ain't happening. So, his option, right now is he can continue with this kind of bull, or he can go take a hike. That's his options. And if I have an opportunity to, tell him that tomorrow, maybe I will.
And that last comment referring to that feud that is ongoing with the Secretary of Defense. So expect some fireworks potentially in these Senate and House briefings that will take place tomorrow, because a lot of questions persist, particularly among Democrats who say that the administration has been far less than forthcoming about its plans in Venezuela.
And Mani, the Senate's also preparing to vote on a measure that's aimed at limiting the president's war powers in Venezuela. Does that have a realistic chance of going anywhere?
Now, it is going to be a close vote in the United States Senate. It is unlikely to pass the United Senate at this point. There's still several Republican senators who have not said how they will ultimately come down. That would require a simple majority of senators for approval. In the 53-47 Senate, at least two have indicated that they are yes votes, including Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. He was a Republican who is pushing this plan, but will they get to the four needed? And then, of course, getting this out of the United States House, a totally different question here. So there could be a symbolic rebuke of President Trump, but actually getting it through both chambers of Congress, highly unlikely at this point. Guys.
All right, Mani Raju, thank you. Live for us from the Hill. Boris?
It's a time of great uncertainty for Venezuelans still grappling with the U.S. military operation. Anxiety is building as the newly sworn-in government there is cracking down on dissidents. Let's go live to the